Radio. Sunday, 12 o'clock a.m., Florida Satellite Studio. 12:30 a.m., Caribbean Satellite Studio. 1 o'clock a.m., Orange County, California Satellite Studio. 1:30 a.m., San Diego, California Satellite Studio. Stay tuned for more exciting programs only here on INCRadio.
This is INCRadio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ, or Iglesianicristo.
And good morning, everyone, and welcome to INC Radio Florida. I'm one of your hosts, Brother Robert Topalas, here in Tampa, Florida. I know I typically say sunny Tampa, Florida, but today we've actually got a pretty torrential downpour that's happening here, which is the sign that things are going to start getting colder here, especially after the rains. This is winter in Florida. We do get it, albeit, we don't have to break out our snowshoes unless you find them fashionable like Sister Audrey does. But we'll go ahead and kick off our show today because we are talking about a very monumental milestone here in our district. Today, of course, is Saturday, January 7th there in the Philippines at midnight. It's January 6th, about 11:05 in the afternoon here on the East Coast of the United States. And we're really glad that you were here to join us today on INC Radio Florida. But before we continue, we're going to go ahead and toss it to Sister Charisse there in Pensacola to greet all of our international viewers. Good morning to you there, Sister Charisse.
Good morning, everyone. Sister Therese here in Pensacola. It is sunny today. I do apologize, Brother Robert. We sent that rainy weather your way. We had it last night, and now you guys are going to have, a little bit of it. So I hope you guys are due for some rain because it was fun last night. But yes, we're sunny today, very excited. And I just wanted to greet all of our viewers all over. Thank you so much for joining us. Hola, bonjour, ¿cómo estás? Bienvenidos. I think that's my limit to how much international greetings I can do this morning. But for ways to stay connected with us, we're always so excited for our viewers to stay connected. www.iglesianicristo.net/INCradio. That's how you can get us on the web browser. But if you were to YouTube search us, search INC Radio. You can also search INC Radio Florida to view all of our episodes if you want to. Make sure you click on the Live Now link and then also subscribe. That way you're always connected with us. Anytime we're dropping more episodes, you'll always get that little ding on your phone. That way you're always right there so close with all of us. And make sure you download the official INC Radio mobile app. You can get it on your Android Play Store and on your iOS devices. All are ways to stay connected with your INC Radio family because we're always so happy to see you every Saturday morning. And now I'm going to kick it off to Sister Audrey. That way she can go ahead and deliver our acknowledgement. Sister Audrey, good morning.
Good morning, Sister Charisse. Sister Audrey Topalas here coming to you from Tampa. Weather-wise, for everyone in the Tampa Bay, just look out for this next week because it's going to be an up and down with rain, cold, and warmth. So just be very careful in keeping yourselves hydrated and healthy through this next few up and down of weather in the week to come. So, of course, in our show, we cannot continue without first extending our warm greetings to our beloved executive minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, our Sub-C CEO and CFO coordinator, Brother Angelo Iranio Manalo, our station manager, Brother Arnel Solano, and our executive producer, Brother Manley and Dia. And then here on the home front of our beloved District of Florida, we'd like to extend our greetings to our district minister, Brother Marlon Balason, our assistant district minister, Brother Carlitos Medina, and our CFO overseer, Brother Mark Bernal. And over there, way in the Philippines, Kuya Tech, thank you so much for staying up late with us there in the Philippines. We hope you have your cup of coffee or tea staying up late with us as well on INC Radio Florida. So to kick off our CFO in action, Sister Joy, I'm going to toss it over to you over there in Orlando. Hi, Sister Joy.
Hi, Sister Audrey, and thank you for giving us that. And for all of us who have just tuned in, you heard a little bit of the weather report that's going on here in Florida. There's no other place that you can get almost all four seasons and maybe one day. We can even get it in the week, right? Isn't that right? It's a delightful place to be. We get the rain, we get the sunshine, we get the cold, we get the sunny weather. So delighted to have that all here. And thank you all again for joining us this Saturday AM or PM or afternoon, wherever you are. I am excited to also share with you all the action that's happening here in the District of Florida with our CFO Christian Family Organization. And indeed, it's really exciting because for many of you, all know our INC Giving Project. This is incredible with a capital INC. It's just such a delight to be able to be part of this project. And this is not limited to just officers. This is for all brethren, where we can, share kindness. Kindness moves. It's just such it's a really exciting event that it's so exciting that we have a special episode dedicated coming up very soon that we'll be talking about all the different activities and all the different ways that we can share INC giving projects and events that will be happening. Today is also exciting because we have a show dedicated not only about the incredible things happening here in our district, but the growth, the expansion, and the wonderful things that are happening here in the District of Florida. So I'm going to go ahead and toss it over to Brother Robert, who's going to kind of give us an introduction so that we can go ahead and dive into this. Brother
Yes,
Robert?
thanks so much, Sister Joy. And just to kind of ride on that INC Giving Project train that you started, that just literally left the station last night with the kickoff and launching of the INC Giving. Was that enough? Analogies to trains. Where we hop on the train, left the station. But we're going to be talking about that in great detail in an upcoming episode, because if those of you who are familiar with the Church of Christ Iglesia or the iglesianicristo's INC Giving Project, it's one of the ways that we're able to help the local communities in every congregation throughout the world. And the wonderful things that come of that are experiences and bonding and fellowship, not only with each other as members of the Church of Christ, but more importantly, the connection that you develop with the communities that you're helping. Everything from beach cleanups to putting together blood drives that we used to do with different projects in different cities, food drives, just any number of ways that we can show our appreciation for the communities that the Church of Christ is in. So we look forward to that episode, but more importantly, we look forward to everyone's participation in the INC Giving Project this coming year of 2024. And if you find a congregation of the Church of Christ near you, wherever you are, please get connected with them and find out how you can help in the INC Giving Project in your community by connecting with the Christian Family Organization there. So enough for that PSA, but let's talk about why we're here today. And that is, of course, the celebration, the landmark celebration of what we like to very affectionately refer to as the mother of all locales here, congregations here on the East Coast of the United States. And that, of course, is Jacksonville, Florida. Jacksonville, Florida really, really witnessed tremendous growth and expansion. And to be quite honest, all of us that are here as hosts today, whether you're in Tampa or you're in Pensacola or if you're in Orlando, we're here because Jacksonville, Florida was established. And we're celebrating 50 years of the establishment of that congregation. They had a wonderful celebration just recently. But today we're actually going to be talking to one of our native what do you call yourselves up there anyway? Are you Jacksonvillites or Jacksonville members?
Duvalians. Even though we're not all from the same county, but Duval County is the largest,
Is the
considering
main county in
Yeah, I heard
Jacksonville.
it's like Duval. Yeah, I heard about that. I was like,
Yeah,
Duval,
it's a
what's
chant.
Duval?
It's a football
yes,
chant.
for all our football fans.
Yeah. So Jacksonville is obviously we'll find it in the history that Sister Audrey is about to take us through. But Sister Audrey grew up in Jacksonville before we stole her and brought her down here to Tampa. So I couldn't think of a better person to go through and share the history of Jacksonville than one of Jacksonville's own, Sister Audrey. So we do have some photos that we're going to share, Sister Audrey. So I'm going to toss it over to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Brother Robert. Yeah, I mean, it's a history that's very near and dear to mine and my family's heart because it's the very reason why we moved down here, with the establishment of the district here in the southeast region of the United States. So Jacksonville being the mother locale. So just to give a little bit snippet of, um, like an idea of what the city of Jacksonville is. First and foremost, it is the largest city in the continental US by landmass. So anyone from the Jacksonville area can attest driving is a must. You've got to drive to get to places because you can be driving an hour and still be well within city limits of Jacksonville, from one location to the other. And it's so big that you've got little neighborhoods of Jacksonville. So largest city in the United States by landmass, but it's also the most populated city of Florida, home to the largest Filipino American community in the state, which I had no clue. But it makes sense because if you're there, especially in the Jacksonville Beach area, close to the East Jacksonville congregation, you'll see a lot of Filipino restaurants, that hit home. It's a sense of home for, all of us that have come from the Philippines, and it's a sense of community where you can find other brethren, and other Filipino Americans that have come into Florida, to share our faith with. So it's a wonderful city. It's definitely up and coming. And to add to all of that, we celebrated the 50th anniversary of the mother locale of our district. So back then, the history of Jacksonville. So in these next few slides here, what you're going to see here, especially in that top left, and then that top right photo. These are photos of the first committee prayer meetings held on December 31st, 1970 at the Fabella residence. So this was at the Mayport Naval Station. So shout out to our East Jacksonville congregation. It's going to be right up there in that area. And then our shout out to my Nina and Sister Remy and the Fabella family there. You can see some of our pioneering members there, and that is the area.
That's incredible just to hear that where it first started was like in the East Jacks area, which is
Yeah,
now an established congregation. I mean, it all started with Jacksonville, and now the area where it started is now an established. I mean, just look at that incredible growth. It's just we're
yes.
growing, and
Yeah,
it's so
and you
wonderful.
know the Jacksonville is also a naval hub. So you have multiple naval stations. You have the Jacksonville Naval Station right there on Roosevelt Avenue where I went to school. And then you've got the one over in Mayport. So with these families that are also members of the Church of Christ, because of their being in the military, that was how they were able to connect to other brethren. And so as you can see, it started off in the East Jacks area and then just kind of spread and, got established in the central Jacksonville location. So you've got our pioneering brethren there, who have now passed, but their legacy continues with the next generation who are still very much alive and continue to share their faith, passing it down to the next generation of members from Jacksonville. So it's
And
this
I
next.
think Sister Rebby is there, and I think she's actually holding an organ in her hand, isn't she? Is it, even at that young
Very
age, she was
likely.
already so musically inclined, right?
Yes, yes, from a very young age. And I've been very lucky to, be a recipient of that legacy. So you shout out to
I
the
have
whole
to add on to that too. I have to say that I'm also, all of us here, because we're also
yes,
organists, so look at that. See, not only talking about the growth of these congregations and brethren, but look, the legacy of music. Sister, if you don't know, Sister Audrey and I are both organists here. So, I mean, just incredible, incredible to
a
talk about.
labor of love because shout out to organists. It's not an easy task by any means. So a
Definitely
labor
labor of love. I think you definitely hit the note.
yes, hit the note right on the
Here we
pitch.
here we go with the puns. Here we go.
Yes, but yeah, the humble beginnings of Jacksonville. So as you can see here, this is where the construction began. And it was actually established as a full-fledged local congregation on December 21st, 1973. So December is a very special time of the year for Jacksonville. And as you can see with the construction of the house of worship, this is the first chapel built from the ground up outside of the Philippines. So much history and so many firsts to this local congregation. As you can see, some of those brethren that are, laying out the land, and I can tell you, it's very familiar still. I mean, the grounds are still so familiar. Like you can kind of tell where everything was. But it's amazing just how slight of a difference it looks like. You still feel the history of it all. And what's amazing about this chapel, that when they first built it, the walls were made out of coquina, which is so native to the east coast of Florida.
That's a very Florida thing, right? Coquina.
Yes.
It's
Very
Yes.
Florida.
Yeah, and for those that are listening that don't know what coquina is, it's just like it's like a seashell cement mix, and it's impenetrable. If you look in the city of St. Augustine, a lot of the older buildings and castles and forts that are still up are because they're made out of that material, because it's supposed to be cannon proof, essentially. So
I think during the Spanish American War there, that was actually tested there in St. Augustine at the Castillo, where you can actually see the cannonballs that are sunk into the coquina because it just absorbs a lot of that. It's something that's weatherproof, it's hurricane proof, and of course that comes in handy here in Florida, right, Sister Audrey?
yes, and I actually have a piece of the coquina wall still in my car that I keep from the construction, because it's such an iconic piece of architecture that you don't see. So special and so specific to Florida. And it's just, that this was the only chapel, I believe, that was made out of that material. So very
And
home to Florida.
and just to think that let it settle in for just a second, that for this to be the first chapel that was built outside the Philippines from the ground up, considering how far, right? Because we know that the churches had expanded into Hawaii, it expanded into California, and then all of a sudden it travels a few thousand, like 1,800 miles to get to Jacksonville, where that first chapel was built from the ground up. And from that, as Sister Audrey mentioned, all of these other locales were established.
Oh yeah, it's definitely, you see the growth and you feel it, because with the establishment of Jacksonville as the first congregation in the southeast region of the US, most of our brethren, my family and I included, came from the north. We came from the north to establish a life here to help with the growth of the Church of Christ in this part of the world. So as you see with all of this construction, on April 16, 1977, this next photo with the completed house of worship now, it was the house of worship of Jacksonville was dedicated to God, officiated by Brother Isidro San Gabriel, who was then the resident minister of New York. So shout out to all of our brethren who came from the north, the Fernandos, ourselves, and there's a lot of brethren there in the Orlando region that have come from New York, that have started a life here in Jacksonville and spread to other congregations. So, we speak of Jacksonville being the mother locale. It essentially established the local congregations of Charleston up there in South Carolina, down there as far south as Miami in 1987, Orlando, shout out to Sister Joy over there in 1990, and then Pensacola, Florida in 1979. So after reaching out in spanning across through North Carolina, through all of Florida. We also spread out in the Jacksonville region, which shout out to our East Jacks brethren over there, South Jacksonville and the Mandarin area, and then Gainesville, where all of our brethren who are also going to university live in that city. So so the growth was just absolutely amazing. So this was the completion of the house of worship with the coquina walls there, and you see the iconic double doors. And if you can't really tell here in this photo, but and you'll see the faces of some of our brethren who were instrumental in making these hedges. But these hedges on the left side had INC, and then on the right side was 1914. So it was another unique unique piece
Landscape
of
to the, yeah.
Yes, with the landscaping. So as Jacksonville continued to progress, it was then rededicated many years later. So many years later into what the chapel is now, which was rededicated in December of 2021, I believe, 2021. And that was the house of worship that I was fortunate to get married in. So this is now what the house of worship looks like now with the re-landscaping. It's still a chapel with a capacity of 200, about 200 plus, give or take. And then we've got our iconic mini park there where a lot of the brethren take photos after the worship service, where families and friends socialize. And it's amazing how far the growth has come with the newly rededicated house of worship in December, led by Eduardo Fimenello. So it was such a beautiful experience, and especially celebrating now the 50th anniversary of Jacksonville. So you can see all of the brethren who attended, who were in attendance in the activity there in downtown Jacksonville, at one of the riverfront hotels there. And then in the next photos, you'll see some very familiar faces. So we have some families who were also pioneering. You have the Silva family there in the top right, who were also part of the pioneering families of Jacksonville. And then more families down there on those bottom two photos. So in the bottom right photo, you'll see the Daughtry family, the Vu family, as well as the Bugsick family, who were all here in the very beginnings, generations of love, because their children were my friends and older brothers and sisters. And then if you look there on the bottom left, you'll see Sister Rebby. So not the little girl that you saw in the first slide there, who is one of our choir directors here in our district. So you'll see the Fabella family there. Shout out to also the Ascierto family with Brother Nilo Ascierto, who is here in our beloved congregation of Tampa. But you see him here with his wife and his family, as well as the Gorgonio family, who those are the three pioneering families of the Jacksonville area in our district. So it was a beautiful gathering. You'll see that pioneering photo with their children and their families there on that top left. You see Brother Nilo there with Brother Alex Tumbaga. The Tumbaga is also a founding and pioneering family in Jacksonville and in our district. And then you see also Brother Victor Vu, Brother Victor there, singing and performing for the program at the 50th celebration. So it was a wonderful event to see, to reunite all of the first families that were here, and then to see the legacy of their children and their grandchildren being passed down. So another photo there of same familiar faces of our pioneering brethren and their families as well. And then I believe they were playing a game here on this bottom right photo. So this is more my generation of Jacksonville offspring. So you'll see there again, they're reunited after having spread out to other places in the U.S., now having their own families. You see Brother Eduardo there emceeing one of the games. And then, like I said, these are Kadiwa Binhi, who, if they weren't born in Jacksonville, they were most definitely raised in Jacksonville and have now families of their own and have spread out to different parts of the country just to be reunited for this special occasion.
Sister Audrey, you're mentioning about all these generations, right? And all, the growth of this. But I will never forget one of the most recent activities that we had. We brought my dad along. And, my parents are, we're here in Orlando, but a lot of our history was driving to Jacksonville, and the drive was never something that hindered us or was ever a burden. It was like, okay, there's an activity, there's a worship service, there's a special gathering. Let's go. We pack up and go. It's just a part of the rhythm of our life that we look forward to. But whenever my parents come along, who have, of course, aged, I love listening to the conversations of these older brethren, and they talk about the history and the growth. And sometimes, they just kind of gathered, and I'm not sure which activity this was. I think I know it involved the CWS, but just listening to my dad, and I think Brother Alex was there too. They would, sit in the corner, and some of the other older brethren, they look at, and they're just right there on the chapel grounds looking at the chapel, and they're talking about all the history that has happened. And then you see little CWS, and for those of you who don't know, the CWS are our youth members. Those are like age 4, and some of them are like, infant toddlers, and they're going around, and you just stand back and you hear these older brethren, people like my dad and, Brother Alex and all the other older brethren talking about, oh, I remember when this was like this and this was like that. And then you see other youth members of the church, and it's, if you just, you just step back and you take it all in, you're like, wow, this is
There,
just it's just it's
It's
so
mind
heartwarming.
blowing.
Yes, I mean, I can't find another adjective to describe this. It's
Surreal.
beautiful. It really is.
it is, that is so true, Sister Joy. Just watching and listen to the pioneers that are here. We're
Mhm.
fortunate enough to have Brother Nilo Acierto, one of the original pioneers in our locale in Tampa, and he tells me stories all the time about how the church, when it was first established here in Jacksonville, and its growth, and how they had to request to have the establishment of the congregation there. And you can just feel that sense of pride in knowing that, from those beginnings, we're all here. All of us that are here in Florida, every congregation that's here in Florida, it doesn't matter which congregation or GWS you are, you have a genealogy, if you will, that
Mhm.
traces back to the establishment of Jacksonville. So thank you, Jacksonville, obviously, for having been established there. Thank you to the church administration for having approved for that 50 years ago for them to be able to establish, because now, as a result, the church has continued to experience its growth and its success here in the state of Florida. Now, of course, we're down to our last couple of seconds. We're the fastest 30 minutes on radio, as everybody knows. But we're so grateful that you took the time to join us in celebrating 50 years with Jacksonville. But please stay tuned, because INC Radio Caribbean is coming up next. But for now, this is Brother Robert here in Tampa, Florida, for Sister Audrey in Tampa, for Sister Charisse that's there in Pensacola, and Sister Joy there in Orlando. Have a wonderful Saturday. Happy New Year, since we didn't get to talk to you prior to, or the last time we got together was then. But have a great New Year. We are so grateful to all of you for joining.